It started as just another ordinary coffee run, the kind of forgettable moment that fills up our days without us even noticing. But this one unraveled into a storm that's still echoing across social media feeds, news segments, and dinner table debates. Picture it, a Starbucks, the quiet hum of espresso machines, a customer ordering a drink, a barista doing their job. But then comes the spark. A single request that flips the entire scene upside down. Write Charlie Kirk on the cup. That's when a routine order turned into an outrage-fueled battleground. Charlie Kirk isn't just any name. He's a conservative firebrand, the founder of Turning Point USA, a man whose presence in American politics has polarized audiences for years. To his supporters, Kirk's legacy is one of courage and conviction, a voice for values they feel are often dismissed. To his critics, his name represents division, provocation, and controversy. And when someone asked for that name to be written on a Starbucks cup, the barista refused. Calmly, matter-of-factly, "We can't do political names." The explanation was simple, almost bureaucratic. Supposedly the sticker wouldn't print it, and besides, it might be against policy. Instead, the compromise was offered. Charlie, just Charlie, not the full name, not the man himself, just a stripped-down version, sanitized and safe. But that tiny moment didn't stay small. A customer captured it on video, shared it, and within hours, TikTok and Twitter, now X, erupted. The clip spread like wildfire, fueling a wave of anger from Kirk's supporters. What some saw as a petty refusal instantly became a symbol of something bigger. A perceived erasure of a man many were still mourning, a silencing of his memory, a corporate decision to make his name taboo. On the other side, critics rolled their eyes, calling it manufactured drama, a setup designed to trigger outrage and weaponize an everyday worker's judgment call. Then, the story snowballed. Outrage campaigns flared up, hashtags called for boycotts, memes painted Starbucks as yet another corporation bending to political correctness. Others pushed back, saying the customer deliberately put the barista in a no-win situation, knowing full well it would ignite controversy. And suddenly, a tea order became a cultural lightning rod. Starbucks had no choice but to step in. The company released a statement clarifying that no such policy exists. Names of political figures, they said, are allowed on orders. What's not allowed are political slogans, offensive phrases, or explicit messages that cross the line into advocacy. But just a name? Just Charlie Kirk? Perfectly fine. The problem wasn't policy, it was interpretation. Somewhere in the training gap, the rules got lost, and a worker, caught between customer requests and corporate expectations, made a call that unintentionally struck a nerve across America. And that's the deeper story here. This wasn't just about a name on a cup. It was about intent versus perception. To the customer, it was a simple tribute to someone they admired. To the barista, it looked like a potential policy violation, a risk of being disciplined for letting politics seep into the store. To supporters online, it became proof of corporate censorship. To critics, it was evidence of culture war theatrics being staged in coffee shops. One request, 4 different interpretations, and none of them existed in isolation. They collided head-on in the court of public opinion. But the twist is this: Starbucks' attempt at neutrality, their insistence that they weren't banning names, ended up proving just how impossible neutrality is in today's climate. When every decision is captured on a phone, filtered through outrage algorithms, and dissected in real time by millions, neutrality itself becomes a political act. Choosing not to allow a name reads like censorship, allowing it reads like endorsement. A barista's hesitation becomes a corporate scandal. A corporate clarification becomes a battlefield for activists. And all of it spins so far away from what really happened. A worker, confused about a rule, making a split-second decision under pressure. What makes this more haunting is the context. Kirk's death earlier this month is still raw for his supporters. For many, hearing his name, seeing it written down, ordering his favorite tea, it's not just about caffeine, it's about memory. It's about honoring someone they believed in. That's why the refusal hit so hard. It wasn't just a cup. It was, in their eyes, a denial of remembrance, a refusal to acknowledge his legacy. And when emotions run high, symbolism becomes everything. The fallout is still unfolding. Some Starbucks customers are calling for an official apology. Others are doubling down, vowing to avoid the chain altogether. Meanwhile, employees are quietly asking for clearer guidelines so they're not thrust into viral controversies over something as simple as handwriting. Because here's the truth no one really talks about. Most baristas aren't political referees, they're just trying to get through a shift. But in the digital age, even a decision as small as how to write a name can put you on trial before millions of strangers. And that's the chilling reality. It's not about tea, it's not about policy. It's about how fragile our public discourse has become. A barista, a cup, a name, three tiny pieces that, when thrown into the furnace of social media, exploded into a cultural firestorm. And what lingers is the uneasy question of whether we're even capable anymore of separating everyday moments from the bigger political wars raging around us. But let's pull back for a second. Why does something like this matter so much? Why does a name on a cup become a flashpoint for millions? It's because names are more than just words. They're identity, memory, legacy. When a name is spoken, it can comfort, it can anger, it can inspire. Denying a name, even unintentionally, can feel like denying a person's existence. And in a hyper-polarized society where every gesture is analyzed for hidden meaning, the refusal to write Charlie Kirk became more than customer service. It became a referendum on whether corporations are silently picking sides. This is where the cultural lens widens. Starbucks, like many global brands, has spent decades carefully crafting an image of inclusivity and neutrality. Their stores are supposed to be third places, not home, not work, but safe ground where anyone can grab a coffee without politics intruding. But the problem is, in 2025, politics intrudes everywhere. Neutrality itself is now a political statement. Companies that stay silent are accused of cowardice. Companies that speak out are accused of partisanship. And ordinary workers, minimum wage employees pulling espresso shots, are the ones left holding the bag when customers test those boundaries. The Starbucks incident also reveals the shifting power dynamics of outrage. 20 years ago, if a barista refused to write a name, the story ended there. Maybe a frustrated customer complained to a manager, maybe not. But today, the smartphone camera has turned every consumer into a broadcaster, every store into a potential stage, every slip-up into a national headline. Outrage spreads faster than context. Nuance dies in the algorithm. And by the time a corporation clarifies what really happened, the narrative is already cemented in millions of minds. And so we ask, was this really about Charlie Kirk? Or was it about something much bigger, the way our culture now uses ordinary spaces like coffee shops as battlegrounds for symbolic wars? A refusal to write a name morphs into a debate over free speech, corporate values, and national identity. The actual details, one worker, one customer, one cup, become almost irrelevant. What matters is the story people tell themselves about what happened, and that story will always reflect their worldview more than the facts. To Kirk's supporters, this was proof that America is slipping into censorship, that even the memory of a man they admired is being erased. To critics, it was yet another example of outrage theater, a way to manufacture division where none needed to exist. And to Starbucks, it was a reminder that their frontline employees are being dragged into fights they never signed up for. The irony? Kirk himself, throughout his career, thrived on sparking debates exactly like this. He built his platform by pushing conversations into the cultural spotlight, by framing seemingly small issues as reflections of much larger ideological battles. In a way, the Starbucks incident could be seen as an extension of his legacy, ordinary people clashing over the meaning of his name even after his passing. So where does this leave us? With a cautionary tale. A reminder of how fragile our ability to separate the personal from the political has become. A world where even coffee cups carry the weight of culture wars. And a warning that unless we learn to step back, breathe, and see the humanity in small mistakes, we risk letting outrage define every corner of our public life. Starbucks clarified, the customer spoke out, the internet had its frenzy, but the scars of that small moment will echo longer than anyone expected. Because at the end of the day, this wasn't just about coffee, it was about memory, identity, and the illusion of neutrality in a world where neutrality no longer exists. And now it's your turn. Do you believe a name should never be denied, no matter who it belongs to? Do you think corporations can ever truly stay neutral in today's climate, or is neutrality just another illusion? Was this outrage justified, or was it theater dressed up as principle? If you believe this story says something larger about where we're headed as a society, share it, talk about it, and don't let the conversation end here. Drop your thoughts in the comments, subscribe for more deep dives into the stories that shake culture, and hit that notification bell, because the next headline might not just be about coffee, it might be about you.